Hello everyone! Today I am very honored to be here to share with you this topic, long-time exposure photography in the application of night scene shooting skills. Long exposure photography is a photographic technique in which the camera sensor can continuously receive light during the shutter opening, so as to record the motion of the object in the picture or obtain sufficient exposure in a low-light environment. Before that, we have to learn to recognize the camera histogram. Your image is made up of millions of pixels, and every pixel has a value representing its color. A histogram shows you the number of pixels of each brightness in your image. The scale along the bottom of the histogram goes from left to right, from 0% brightness to 100% brightness. The taller the peak, the more pixels of that brightness there are in the image. The first photo represents too dark, the second photo represents overexposure, and the third photo is the correct exposure. From this, we come to the technique of exposure to the right, or ETTR, which means that the information of the histogram should be pressed to the right during exposure, allowing the sensor to fully absorb light while avoiding overflow of highlights. After understanding the camera histogram, let's talk about long exposure photography. The most common application of long exposure is to shoot traffic. A long exposure of about 10 to 15 seconds can capture a beautiful traffic trajectory, but the photographer's hand cannot keep it moving. Therefore, you need to use a tripod and use a wide-angle or ultra-wide-angle lens to shoot. The shooting time is usually at night, because the camera's sensor will prioritize recording information with higher color levels in the picture. That is, the brighter part. But if you shoot during the day, overexposure may occur, so we need to use an ND filter. The ND filter allows photographers to shoot their wide aperture lenses in bright light without overexposing. This allows shallow depth of field and selective focus effects while under lighting conditions that exceed the shutter speed capabilities of the camera. The other use of the ND filter regards its effect on shutter speed. With less light entering the camera, you will need to slow the shutter for a given aperture setting. The slower shutter speed will allow anything moving in your frame to become blurred. The specifications of ND filters are usually calculated based on the amount of light transmission. General models include ND2, ND8, and ND16. How much attenuation it has to be compensated for through a longer exposure time. In a camera, no matter whether the shutter, aperture, or ISO, the difference between each gear is doubled. If the aperture and ISO are kept constant, if the ND4 filter is installed, it theoretically requires 4 times the exposure time. The shutter speed of 2 gears can make up for it. The highest reducing lenses on the market can generally achieve ND200, which is approximately equal to 1/11 of 2, which means they can slow down the shutter speed of the 11th gear and obtain 2000 times the exposure time. That is, the original 100th of a second exposure now takes 20 seconds to obtain. In addition to using a tripod, using a smaller aperture and a lower ISO value when shooting, in order to enhance the blues effect of the picture, you can set the white balance mode to incandescent mode, or manually adjust the color temperature to obtain the ideal color effect. In the movie Interstellar, the director used long exposure photography to show the bright starry sky. These shots not only show the grandeur of the universe, but also convey the far-reaching significance of the passage of time and human exploration through the trajectory of the star orbit.